Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing today? Oh, and already we're starting out strong with Jay Monty giving me a subscription. Thank you so much, dude. I can see that you are all doing great this past week. I know I've been doing well, and sorry for the lack of episode last week because, well, once again, well, there wasn't a whole lot of news to go and actually talk about, but things are going to be different this time around because trust me, I got a whole bunch ready and set to go and talk about. And this one, I can guarantee you this will be a massively fun-filled episode, especially with the fact that I am not alone. Oh, already Meta Ralph sounds pretty excited with that subscription right over there. But yes, I do have another guest star with me, and this time around we actually got a recurring member here in AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and this person, you all know her. We all had a lot of fun with her before, and she is back once again. Yes, folks, I am talking about the closest thing we got to Helga from Hey Arnold being in real life. Please welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, Devon! Yeah! Devon, how are you? And by the way, thank you, Juju, for that well-timed subscription there. So, how have you been doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. I am happy, I am here, and I am...
Are you tired?
I was literally thinking of Hocus Pocus in my head the moment I was like, you know, that's that song where it's like, where the witches and there's hell to pay.
Oh, okay. For a moment, it just looked like you're just like you're coming in. It's like, I'm ready. I'm set. And I'm tired.
I mean, I am tired, but not that tired. I was just having a little bit of fun.
I see. So lately, Devon, things have been going well with you, though?
Yeah. I mean, I'm almost done with school for the summer. One more day left. So it'll be great.
Awesome.
And I have learned many things today.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is a dark book.
Yeah, that is definitely true. We did just talk about that before the show went on. Also, there is one thing that I would like to go and mention. I almost forgot about this. Considering that we are at the beginning of Pride Month, a day to go and celebrate the life of the LGBTQ plus IA or LGBTQIA2 plus community, or I'm just going to go and keep it short because I know like just saying that is a mouthful, so I'm just going to go and say the LGBTQ plus community. But also, this is a time to raise awareness in regards to the fact that their rights are being stripped away and being continuously attacked, especially from Republican politicians and Republican commentators who have often used them as targets for fear-mongering. And this is why nowadays we've seen a lot of hate crimes and a lot of violence that are on the rise, especially with far-right extremism becoming a lot more rampant and becoming a lot more dangerous. And often they are the first ones to be attacked. And that is why I would like to go and announce that throughout the month of June, that each week I am going to go and mention a new, or not necessarily a new, but I will go and mention a fundraiser that you could go and donate to go and help out the LGBTQ plus community. And the first one that I have for you today is the Trevor Project. Now, the Trevor Project is one of the more famous organizations to go and help out the LGBTQ plus community, to go and specifically to help out with the LGBTQ plus youth, to go and help them out in their rights. To go here, I'll go and show you the entire website over here. So this is to go and help them out to live their lives, to accept who they are, and even in such very troubling times that, that they got someone to go and help out and to reach, and even saying, here, I'm sure they got, they got an about page, I believe. Well, okay, so, well, either way, as you can see, they also got like hotline numbers for any of the members that they want to get help. They got like a lot of resources to go and talk about gender identity, sexual orientation, mental health, and many, many more. Or like even an entire community called Trevor Space, where the LGBTQ plus youth can come together and, and just connect. So if you would like to go and help them out, just go to trevorproject.org, and not only can you go and just lend a helping hand, but you can also go and donate, or you can sign in to Trevor Space in case you want to have a connection if you are an LGBTQ plus member between the ages of 13 and 24, and many more. So this is just a special shout out this week to the Trevor Project. So just want to go and quickly bring that up.
Awesome.
All right, so with that said and done, though, I would like to go and ask you, Devon, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast?
Absolutely.
All
Along
right.
with my annoying cat.
Okay, that's
go.
perfect. Now, Chatwall, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Are you prepared now, folks? Well, let's see now. Are people prepared? Yes. Okay, we are seeing the comments coming up. They're saying that they are ready. That is beautiful. And so, with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that we have for you today, we are going to go and begin by looking into a trailer. Now, we've already seen a little bit of this before. We already have the teaser. Devon, by the way, I want to go and ask you, are you familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
In general, yes. I didn't grow up specifically with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Me being a little girl, I thought it was lame and for boys, but this is coming from me, who was obsessed with Bratz and Barbie. So yeah, I was that kid. I did not understand the appeal. I started liking it more as an adult.
Well, that's interesting, and maybe that love could grow a little bit more as we will take a look into a new version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, specifically one that will be coming out in the summer on the big screen with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. So let's go ahead and have a look at the brand new trailer.
Can I take it? I'm awesome.
And that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, to which the movie shall be coming out this summer, not on August 4th, but recently they have changed it to August 2nd on Wednesday. I don't know if that's the case, but maybe they're copying the same formula as Mario. But anyways, Devon, I would like to know your thoughts on what we have witnessed here.
You know, the funny thing is, I was laughing because it looks different and it's unique in its animation style.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's not like the other incarnations. At least you can tell all the other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies apart, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get them one confused one after the other, unless if you just can't remember names, which I don't. But I think, and funny enough with me is, I mean, I'm not nearly as hyped in a sense. Like, it looks interesting and there's some funny moments in it, but maybe it's not grabbing me in the way that I guess I would want it to. It's so weird, and I think it's funny that they put the from permanent teenager Seth Rogen. I mean, that I'll admit is pretty funny.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
I mean, it's Seth Rogen. I don't know how else to explain that, but it's pretty funny. At least on that. That's self-awareness, and it's cute. I think for me, it's interesting. Maybe I'll like it if I see it. I don't know if the trailer's not impressing me.
Oh, really? What is it about it that is hesitating you from seeing it?
I guess, like I said, I don't love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I like it enough that I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna call myself a true fan because it's not my thing. Like, I liked the movies when I watched them, but it's not like the first thing I'm gonna actively go after. I've had other
Okay.
things I like more. And that's kind of what it is for me. It's not my thing personally. I respect it and I respect the people who like it. But I'm just not actively interested in seeing it.
So it's more just the factor that it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's holding you back.
Yeah, it's more of a personal bias.
Okay, like more just your personal history with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or like with
Yeah.
is there anything in particular with this version that's coming up that's like not convincing you that much?
It's not, the funny thing is I tried watching, like, I saw the teaser trailer and it was fine. I couldn't get into this trailer. I just could not, like, I could not get absorbed into it, and I think I just wasn't all that interested in watching it. Even before we started. I just did not, like, every time I go to the movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I've seen like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailers in the theater because I've gone to see multiple movies this week. So I keep forgetting that I even watched it.
So it's just not as memorable for you.
No.
Okay. Interesting. Well, if I could just put in my piece a little bit, like, I am aware of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I do have, like, at least some of the basic knowledge of it through different YouTubers like James Rolfe. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest TMNT fan. Like, I've seen like a good chunk of the episodes of the 2003 show. I remember watching, I believe it was the 2007 movie, or I remember in the mid 2000s, Miramax put out a TMNT movie and it was not good. And I have seen some of the other TMNT movies, but it's been a long time ago. But one thing I will say that with this new incarnation, I will say it seems very intriguing. Like, it feels like it's something that really does stand out from all the other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, granted, like, I feel like nowadays, like, especially thanks to Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, now they're starting to take more risks and they're starting to experiment a little bit more, especially with the turtles themselves. Like, now they really do differentiate from one another, like, much more than the personalities, but also the appearances. They're not afraid to make them look different. And that is especially the case with what we got here. Because one thing that is very interesting to note is that this is directed by, I believe his name is Jeff Rowe. He is the writer and the co-director of The Mitchells vs. the Machines. And you could tell how that style is very much incorporated onto Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, you look into how the characters look, you see how the designs are drawn, and like, it very much has that Spider-Verse style aesthetic where they're taking CG animation but they're making it look painted, or they make it look very sketchy. And in fact, and like, there's even like one cute segment where like you would see them be, they have like drawings and presented as like little cartoons that they would create by themselves. But then like you look at like some of the other shots And one thing it's interesting to note is that with the animation, it really does feel like they are kind of going back to their roots, going back to how they were as independent comics. And you see how, like, you see they have a bit of that gritty, sketchy look into them, where, like, yeah, it's the same iconography of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but now it's like they're kind of drawn a lot more differently. They're drawn a lot more crudely and loosely. In fact, like, there's even one shot where you see you see the people, and the way that they're drawn is like they have a bit of a distinct look that not so appealing, and it's like a bit more caricatured, or like even when you look at the backgrounds, they look more like like quickly drawn more so than they were animated. So it definitely has an interesting aesthetic in terms of the animation. But also another thing that I feel like it is worth pointing out is in regards to the storyline, where in the teaser we got a good taste of the fact that the turtles are full-on teenagers. I feel like it's kind of the first time, or at least the first time in a very long time, where we get the sense that these turtles are legitimately teenagers, instead of someone like Seth Rogen, who is considered a permanent teenager, like you brought up. But also in this trailer, I feel like one thing that they have introduced that they're giving us an idea of how this movie is going to be, is the fact that this is about the mutant aspect as well. That the big thing to really emphasize is that, yes, they are Ninja Turtles, but more significantly, they're also teenagers, and they are also mutants, and that's going to play a significant role in the entire film, and even with the bad guys as well. Like, it will enhance the world building in a way, like how the mutant, in a way, come to think of it, it reminds me a lot of X-Men. Like, you kind of have that X-Men plot line where you got like you got the good mutants, and then you also got the bad mutants. And with the bad mutants, they kind of have a bit of a vendetta of the regular people in this world. So they want to go and have revenge on them. But then the good mutants, which are the turtles, they're going to go and try to stop them to save the day. You get what I mean?
I do. I just, I'll confess, I have never watched any of the X-Men movies.
Really? You're not that familiar with X-Men?
Completely, because like I said, I was really big into Spider-Man, and my superhero tastes are kind of different. Like, I like Batman, and I like Wonder Woman, and I like Superman, but I'm not actively looking at all the different characters, you know what I mean? X-Men just never interested me personally. I get the point, but maybe that's just me. I've always been more of a Spider-Man person, which I will definitely be emphasizing. But yeah.
Okay, understandable. I guess I'm not doing that great of a job to sell it to you specifically.
Not even a little bit.
Well. But I just gotta say that, honestly, yeah, they're like, you do get the same elements from the first teaser, and then when we see the full trailer, I will say, for me, like, even though I'm not that huge on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles either, I am intrigued to see what they have in store. Like, the animation style definitely does stand out. It looks very interesting, and it looks like they're going to give us a fresh take on TMNT that that can be respectful to the original source material, but at the same time feel like something that no other adaptations has really done with the turtles. So at least for me, I am going to be openly curious to see what they got. I don't know if this is going to turn out to be fantastic. I don't know if it's going to be amazing and one of the best animated films of the year, but I'm personally going to keep an open mind to see what they have in store with this.
That's more it's weird. We're usually the opposite. We, like, if there's a movie, we both, like, I'm usually the one more with an open mind, and you're usually the pessimist. This time it's the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. Very rare that we can ever have one movie where we connect. It's like, I'm excited for this, or it's like, I don't know about this.
You know, that's why we're friends, guys.
Yeah, pretty much. Who needs logic when we got our friendship?
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that I pretty much put out my opinions. Devon, I think you got your opinions out. So if you're all interested in checking out TMNT Mutant Mayhem, then just remember that the movie will be coming out on August 2nd. And with that said, let's quickly head on over to the chat wall. And now I want to ask you all, what are your opinions on the trailer of Mutant Mayhem? Are you guys intrigued by this? Are you more like me and you're curious to see what they got? Or are you more like Devon where it's not really for you? Let me know what you think on that. Let's see now. Cowabunga, dude. I'm happy to see TMNT coming back to theaters and now in great animated form inspired by Spider-Verse. No more Michael Bay's passion for ugly CGI characters and explosions that only boring men can enjoy. I do love the villain, especially the Afro insect guy voiced by Ice Cube. Oh, and Matt, your fave song, that the pigeons from Tom and Jerry 2021 is back. Can I kick it? Yes. Oh God, yeah, that is true because the last time that song was played was in the beginning of the 2021 Tom and Jerry movie. Oh, good God. And that's the one where, like, in the middle of it, they have to make some kind of freaking poop joke. It's like, can I kick it? Yes, you can. You're lucky that you've never seen that movie because, like, even you would not tolerate it.
No.
Oh, God, that thing was a disaster. Man, this film keeps looking better and better. The camaraderies between the turtles is spot on. Ice Cube's voice weirdly fits Superfly, and it's a breath of fresh air getting a Turtles movie where they don't have to take on Shredder, and the art style looks incredible, so this is gonna make a good watch. Also, Hannibal Burgess as a frog kind of gives me hope that there will be some Eric Andre show-esque antics. There's no way that they cannot make a pizza safety joke. Yeah, and I mean, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you're in New York City. Pizza is gonna be there somewhere. Let's see what else. Oh, okay, there. Here's one for you. I'm with Devon on this. I'm not really a fan of this movie's Spider-Verse-like art style. The way the characters move are designed just doesn't look appealing to me. If you like it, I'm happy for you, but it's just not for me. Though I'm still hoping this does well, so Paramount will make a sequel where they cross over with the Power Rangers. They're the chocolate of the Turtles peanut butter. Power Rangers is still on Nickelodeon, right? I'm closing. Black April for the win. Yeah, and that's another thing that they did. Yeah, now April O'Neil is a lot more true to the original source material, more so than like the overly sexualized version from the 1980s.
Okay.
At least you got that context.
I think that I did get, yeah.
Yeah. I think it will be great after looking for a couple of trailers. So much so that Paramount decided to push a few days back to a Wednesday instead of a Friday, as they are confident with this movie. It looked great from the animation, story, characters, and the action scenes all together, so I'm definitely going to watch this, despite being a casual watcher of TMNT. All right, let's see. Personally, I'm more of a casual TMNT fan, mostly through watching the 2012 series, and this trailer looks awesome. I love how they make the turtles act like actual teenagers. I love the animation that has Spider-Verse style with the animation, and the action looks awesome. So overall, I'm very excited for this movie, and it looks like a great addition to the TMNT lineup. Let's see. While I'm not as familiar as TMNT as other people, this trailer still gives me a lot of hype. We've still got the crude but charming animation style along with the turtles who actually act like teenagers, but this time we got our first look at our main villains, which is not Shredder or Krang, but instead what looks like their own version of the TMNT villain, Baxter Stockman. And I am curious how they are going to go with this mutant approach. Cowabunga, dude. All right, I'll read one more comment before we go and take our first break. This has got me excited for this version of TMNT. I do like the movie has teenage actors as the main roles, although I do hear some criticisms regarding the casting of Jackie Chan as Splinter, since he's a Chinese actor and not Japanese. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing, I mean, like, I will admit, like, that rat joke, like, that ratted us out joke, like, that was pretty funny, but I mean, that whole casting of Jackie Chan, I mean, like, that's, you know, that's like a whole conversation in itself, and I don't think we got time for that on this show. But yeah, so with that said, again, if you are excited for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, or are curious of it, then keep in mind that it will be coming out on August 2nd. And we are going to be heading to our first break right now. And don't worry, Devon, you will have a lot more to talk about on our next story, because for our next one, we will be talking about, well, kind of talking about a movie with a similar animation style, but instead of talking about mutants and turtles, we're going to be talking about people who are technically mutants. Well, maybe some of them are, but instead of turtles, we're talking about spiders. So are you excited for that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. So let's go and have our break. And we are back. And now for our next story, Devon, you may not be that interested in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I know you are definitely interested in Spider-Man. So let me just ask you, as a Spider-Man fan, you, of course, have went to see Across the Spider-Verse this weekend, right?
Yes, I did. I went to see it Friday night.
So what did you think?
Loved it. Loved it. And just because this just got released, I gotta say, my God, this emotionally manipulated me, and I was so happy and angry about it.
Yeah,
I was so excited about this.
Did it meet up to your expectations?
Yes. Actually, it probably beat my expectations, because here's the thing. For all the people that don't really know my history of Spider-Man, I loved Spider-Man ever since I was like a teenager. I was probably like 12, 13. I was reading the original comics. I actually still have the original comics tucked away, hidden in my closet. Like the original set, you know, like the first comics that ever came out of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I got them, but I got like the first like 28 volumes.
But not like original, right?
Maybe not the original, but I still have them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
because,
they're
I mean,
the original. It came from the 70s, but
no, like you would be like, I'm sure you would be able to sell them and you would be set for life.
Oh, I know. I don't know for sure. I never brought them to a comic book collector to find out if they're official, but I don't want to be honest. That's partly why. As I was saying, I have the original comics. I read them quite often when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And just something about Peter Parker's Spider-Man that really hooked me. Like, I felt he was relatable. And then when I found out there was other incarnations like Miles Morales and Spider-Pig and Spider-Woman and etc., etc., etc. There's so many, it's actually crazy now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really respect that, because it's not, Spider-Man as a character is great. Like, you can put him in a multiple different types of scenarios, and somebody's going to be related to him. Like Miles Morales, he's an African American Spider-Man. That's great. We need that. We need the diversity. I love that. And I may not have grown up with the Miles Morales rendition or some of the other incarnations before Peter Parker, but I fully respect what these other incarnations were doing. I really appreciate that. I mean, it's not supposed to, like, I did connect to Miles Morales, definitely, but I think I appreciate the fact that he's there. Like, people can relate to that. And Peter Parker and Spider-Man in general, was always a character you could sort of relate to. He was a teenager. He gets these powers, and now he has to be able to conquer school, take care of school, superhero responsibilities. He watched his uncle die, and it's, I mean, really, the story's so well known. People can say, "Hey, wait a minute. There's multiple movies, multiple, like the Andrew Garfield, the Tobey Maguire, and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Come on. There's and many ways to watch Spider-Man, all the TV shows, all the different there's all the different TV shows ranging from the 60s to
Mhm.
even today. Spider-Man is just so famous that you can basically find any version of Spider-Man and be able to watch it. And I like that the new Sony movies, you wouldn't have expected them to be as good as they are, but they are so good.
Or specifically
They
the Sony animation
I
movies, right?
Yeah,
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I was highly impressed.
Yeah, okay. So, with that said though, like considering you've mentioned like your relatability with like how you feel connected with Peter Parker, funny enough though, with the story that I have here, we're not really going to talk about Peter Parker. We're mostly going to talk about the rest of the Spider crew. And this is actually in related to what is going to be the future of the Spider-Verse, or specifically what Sony has in store with Spider-Man. Yes, this actually happened during the premiere of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and two of the producers, specifically Avia Rod and Amy Pascal, actually revealed that they have a few more plans with the Spider-Men or the Spider-People that have been featured in this new movie. They have stated that they are planning a Spider-Woman spin-off film, to which Avi Arad said that apparently it's going to be arriving sooner than you expect. Now, he didn't necessarily say what it is. He didn't necessarily say when it's going to be coming out, if it's either going to be in 2024 or 2025 or whatever. But apparently he is saying that a new Spider-Woman movie is going to be coming soon. And I want to clarify from the hints that they are giving with this article here on Variety, it looks like this is going to be the animated one. Now, this was previously announced where we are going to be having a Spider-Woman spin-off movie where it is going to be a spin-off to Spider-Man with the Spider-Verse movies. And from there, it is going to star Gwen Stacy, Jessica Drew, and Spider-Silk. Which we haven't been introduced to her in the Spider-Verse movies yet, but I'm sure we will be meeting her in Beyond the Spider-Verse, so just letting you know. But what is also very interesting to note is that right now, Sony are considering the idea about making a live-action Miles Morales movie. Now, they didn't necessarily say what specifically they're going to do with it. They didn't say if it's going to be more related to Into the Spider-Verse, or if it's going to be more of its own thing, or if it's going to be based more on the Miles Morales comics. But apparently Sony is considering the idea of having a Miles Morales live action movie. And also a quick side note, they have also revealed an update in regards to the fourth MCU Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. And apparently the update there is that right now they are having meetings. They are talking about what they are going to do, but the entire production of it and the plans are put on hold because of the writer's strike. So those are all the updates that we have gotten, is that the Spider-Woman animated spin-off film is going to be coming soon, apparently. We don't know when, we don't know how, but apparently, according to one of the producers, is coming soon. And more significantly, there is a possibility that we will have a live-action Miles Morales movie. So, Devon, I would like to know your thoughts on all this.
Honestly, that's great. Because, like I said, I did mention about Peter Parker. There's so many movies about the Peter Parker version of Spider-Man that people are kind of sick of it. And I get why. because that's the only one people actively do adaptations for. So I like that they're going to do something else. Because, like, the Spider-Verse movies are the first ones where we actively get Miles Morales as a character that's like the lead. I mean, yes, Peter Parker's in the Spider-Verse movies, but he's not the focus. It's Miles. Good. We need to have different Spider-Man movies, and I like the Spider-Woman movies. I think growing up I did read the Spider-Woman comics, but they weren't like the first things I thought of. Like I read a little bit, but not a lot. I dabbled more than anything. I just
Okay.
dabbled. And I also think that's great that they're doing a Miles Morales movie. Where they're gonna go, who knows? But good. We need these different versions of Spider-Man. We don't want to be sick of Spider-Man. So I like that Sony is trying to do something different. It's still Spider-Man, but it's not the same. It's not like making the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire and then all of a sudden going, hey, let's do the origin story of Peter Parker again with Andrew Garfield like 8 years later. I mean, I get why the MCU didn't redo the origin story. Everybody knows the Spider-Man origin story. I mean, it's done. It's been done. And it's boring. I mean, I love the Spider-Man movies, but like I said, it's been done. So I like that they're doing something different, and I respect the fact that there's all these different incarcerations, and I'm hoping that they will dabble more into other versions of Spider-Man. This is what they need. I think this will show, like, hey, wait a minute, we can dabble into other stuff other than Peter Parker.
Yeah, I would say that for me, honestly, I do have some mixed reactions to it. Like, okay, the spin-off film, the Spider-Woman spin-off film, all right, honestly, I'm down with it. Like, honestly, like, from what we have seen so far with the first Spider-Verse and now with Across the Spider-Verse, yeah, like, honestly, honestly, I'm not sick of it just yet. Honestly, I would love to see much more of how they can go and expand this entire world, and why not also like give the ladies the spotlight, and especially with how in Across the Spider-Verse they really expanded upon Gwen Stacy's character. So it will be interesting to see a lot more of the dynamic between Gwen Stacy and her new her new mentor Jessica Drew, and then we're also getting the new the new addition with Spider Silk. So that's going to be definitely interesting. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on that. But then you also have the live action Miles Morales. I think it is safe to say that because of the popularity of these Spider-Verse movies, this was inevitable. I think like it was only a matter of time when Sony would go and actually announce that they would have some kind of live action incarnation of Miles Morales. In fact, for years, we have been hearing rumors that Miles Morales would somehow be added to the MCU. Like with the next MCU Spider-Man trilogy, that somewhere they're going to go and introduce Miles Morales. And then by the time that we reach the last film in which Tom Holland would be Spider-Man, he would go and teach Miles Morales how to be Spider-Man so that he would become the next generation of Spider-Man for the future of the MCU. Kind of like how Shuri is now the Black Panther, or you could correct me if I'm wrong, but Sam Wilson is now the new Captain America. So like we would have those, that we would have like a new person taking the mantle of like the popular superhero title. And they say that could happen with Miles Morales. Now, with that said, if that is not the case, and if it's just Sony Pictures doing a live action Miles Morales movie, that's where I feel massively iffy about, and I feel very unsure, because let's be honest, so far the reputation of Sony making their own Spider-Man movies, like especially nowadays with the Venom films and especially with Morbius, It's not been going well. Like, if it's not coming from Sony Animation, or if it's not Marvel Productions that's coming in to actually lend a hand in actually developing those features, that's when things can that's when things can quickly go south. And one of the biggest challenges with making a live action Miles Morales movie is that you know for a fact that people out there, like many people, are going to go and make an immediate comparison to the Spider-Verse movies. And with Spider-Verse, like, they've already set themselves with a stupidly high standard. So it's going to be very difficult to go and imagine if there's going to be a legitimate live action crew that can go and make a Miles Morales movie that can be on par with what we have been given with the animated Spider-Verse movies. So that's the part where I feel it's going to be very iffy. Maybe it's just me, but that's how I feel on the matter. And by the way, Devon, actually, I don't know if you've ever brought this up before, but have you ever seen some of the more recent Sony Spider-Man films? Like, have you seen the Venom movies, or have you seen Morbius?
Honestly, no. Not that I wasn't interested, I just never had the time. It was
Really?
more maybe they kind of flipped off my radar a little bit. I'm not as familiar with Morbius, honestly. I mean, that's just me though. I know who Venom is very, very clearly, but I'm not hearing good things about those movies, and I'm just kind of I might wait and see if I decide to watch them like later on when I just want to, like you're having a bad day and you just want to watch something stupid, or like you're having a bad day and you just want something to just drink some frickin' alcohol and watch something stupid. Actually, that sounds like a better plan to be legit.
Yeah, that actually sounds like, from what, like, I haven't really seen those yet, and like I'm just going from what the general consensus of what those movies are. But yeah, from the sound of it, I think like the Venom films and Morbius are indeed those movies. They're stupid, they're not great. Many people say they are the weakest Spider-Man movies ever created, more so than the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I think in that regard, yeah, I think that's right up your alley if you're just in the mood for something stupid.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that. Like, for me, here's the thing. I love Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I know it's not beloved by many people because I love the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I will argue a little bit about those. Well, maybe not so much 2, but definitely the first one. But that's just a personal thing. I really love the Amazing Spider-Man movies, so I have more like I really love them. They're dear to my heart. So
Okay, I got I got you. But yeah, that's what, yeah, and that's why I have this concern with like this live action Miles Morales. If it does end up like one of those stupid, like one of those films that is on par with how people feel with like either Venom or with Morbius, and if we do end up with a subpar Miles Morales movie, then that could really screw things up with the future of like with what Sony wants to do with the Spider-Man films. Because like the thing is, like, some people are even theorizing that Sony is trying to go like to really go hard with Miles Morales and really like go all in with him instead of just doing like another Peter Parker movie or whatever, is because like so far this like what they're doing with Spider-Verse has been so far much more successful than their attempt of trying to put in their movies onto the MCU, because technically they really wanted to have films like the Venom movies and Morbius to actually be canon with the MCU, which that ultimately did not work well, and I think like they legitimately abandoned those plans.
yeah, I think Sony has always had a bit of a issues. Like they've always had a bit of a strong attachment to Spider-Man in general, and they don't want to let go of that. And I get why. It's a moneymaker, so they're not gonna fully let Spider-Man go. And I mean, unless if the Miles Morales movie somehow gets a really good director and really good, like you have to have really good writers and really good directors in order to make a good movie.
Hmm.
If they can somehow get good writers and a good director, maybe the movie could be better than we think. But until we know more information, we don't know that.
Yeah, like they would need someone like Ryan Coogler, like the director of Black Panther, to go and
Oh,
properly
okay, yeah.
handle Miles Morales, or worst case, like just like keep Phil Lord and Chris Miller like to be the producers to make sure that like everything can go as smoothly as the Spider-Verse films.
See, I agree with that. I think if they kept Lord and Miller as producers, I think that will help because they really do care about these Spider-Verse movies and Miles
Mhm.
Morales in general. So I would hope that they are smart and do that. But I didn't say they were smart, so I don't know.
Yeah, and not to mention that, well, technically with Sony, like Spider-Man is their most profitable franchise, and like
Yeah.
debatably like their best franchise that can really make them money. So like without like that's why Sony is trying to do everything they can to keep Spider-Man from Disney, because if they do sell it to Disney, the chances of having a Sony Pictures in the future is debatable.
Yeah, that's true.
There is also that factor. So yeah, so I guess overall with your opinion, you would say that you're good with like these ideas with a Spider-Woman, a spin-off film, and also the live action Miles Morales movie?
Yes, and I'm definitely cool with that because like I said, I would think we need the diversity. We need the
Oh yeah.
different stuff happening over at Sony. And until we know more about at least about the live, the Miles Morales movies, until we know more information of what's going to actually be going on, I mean, I'm still open-minded, but I get it why there's skepticism because I know Sony is not the best
Mm-hmm.
studio. I mean, even with their animated stuff is give or take, but I love this. I love the Spider-Verse movies immensely. They're really good, and I'm
It's the best.
really
It's the
hoping for the
best
best.
move. Yeah, and it's the best movies that that Sony Pictures has ever released. Honestly.
Yeah, they're very good. So I'm gonna stay positive for now. I will be the fair-minded one, and you can be the pessimist. Now it's back to normal again.
Well, well, I guess, but I will say, like, I'm definitely optimistic about the Spider-Woman films, but it's just the Miles Morales movie. I guess we will have to wait and see, but I do have a lot of doubts.
Yeah.
All
Now it's
right,
back to normal again.
all right, but now that we've put our piece onto this, now I would like to know the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about Sony making an animated Spider-Woman spinoff, and especially the live-action Miles Morales movie? I would love to know your opinion on that. Let's see. Not gonna lie, I'm down to see a Spider-Woman centric movie. It sounds good. It should be fun to watch, especially with Gwen. She's a badass Spider-Man. As for Across the Spider-Verse, I may be crazy to say this movie is the Shrek 2 of Sony Animation. It leaves me an emotional impact, and I could relate to Miles a lot. Definitely the best movie of the year. I don't know if I want to say that. Honestly, I don't know. I don't. The reason why is because I don't want to call it the Shrek 2 of Sony Animation, because that would mean the third one is going to be a freaking disaster that will ruin everything. And I don't want that for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Hopefully it's like the Kung Fu Panda too. Hopefully it's like that.
Not even. Like the third movie, like I really, yeah, I did like the third movie. It was really good, but it was the weakest of all of them. I don't know. Like I want the, like, be like Toy Story, you know? Be like Toy Story. Each one sticks the landing.
Yeah, that would probably make way more sense. Yeah, I agree.
There you go. Let's see now. Starting with the Spider-Woman movie, I really like what they did with Gwen in Across the Spider-Verse. She was honestly one of the best characters, so I'm down to see how they expand on her further. As for the live-action Miles Morales movie, I doubt they're gonna make lightning strike twice with his origin story, but if they do it right, I'll be willing to check it out. But you know what they do need to make? a Spider-Verse spin-off about Hobie Brown, aka Spider-Punk, the best character. Yo, they honestly, yeah. I mean, let's be honest, like one of the best, like possibly the best new thing that came out of Across the Spider-Verse is Hobie. Like honestly, he was my new favorite character in the film. Like he doesn't have as prominent of a role as much as either Miles or Gwen or even Miguel O'Hara, but oh my god, his moments, like he is a full-on show stealer.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Oh my god, like he's pretty much the anti-fascist we all strive to be. Crapping on the establishment. Oh, salute that. Oh, respect that.
Love it.
Let's see. So much exciting news with all the Spider-Man movies, but I'm worried it will be oversaturated with just Spider-related people. Like, I know people are going to whine about Spider-Woman movie and call it an all-girls team, Mary Sue's, and other nebulous bull. I honestly hope with the Holland Spider-Man, he gets to be Miles's mentor, and him getting back with MJ and Ned. I want him to have a happy ending. Same with Miles in Spider-Verse. All right. Let's see what else we have here. The idea of having more movies starring different versions of Spider-Man not only sounds like a great idea, but it would really help emphasize with the idea of Spider-Man. We tend to forget that Spider-Man isn't just a hero. He's a hero to both the people and the community, which is why he is so often called the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Even Stan Lee himself said that one of the biggest appeals for Spider-Man is that since he is masked, anyone could be under the mask and be the hero. That definitely is true. And yeah, like I think yeah, and especially it feels like it's a matter of time that we would get some kind of spin-off content, because I remember even after the release of the first Spider-Verse movie, like they mentioned about like different spin-offs, either like a show or a movie of characters like either Spider-Man Noir or Spider-Pig or even Penny Parker. Like I think it was a matter of time, honestly.
Yeah, I think it was necessary for sure.
Let's see now. Have you noticed that the armchair prognosticators who have been crying, superhero fatigue is real, you guys, have been strangely quiet lately? Anyways, these are fantastic numbers. Next to Elemental, Across the Spider-Verse has been my most hyped animated movie of the year, and I'm so glad it's a massive hit. I can only imagine where the third Spider-Verse movie is going to go. No Way Home proved that Sony finally understands how to make a great and complete Spider-Man trilogy. Let's hope they can make another. Well, okay, honestly, the MCU films, I don't know if they can count, because that's technically Marvel who actually created that movie. Sony was just there for the financing. They didn't fully invest in the creative aspect. Like if you want to see how Sony does creatively, then you got to look at stuff like Venom or Morbius. Or if you want to know how their competent filmmakers would go and do it, then you watch the Spider-Verse movies. Let's see now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Exactly. Given how fantastic Across the Spider-Verse is now that I have seen it 3 times and broke expectations at the box office, being the first non-Disney / Universal animated movie to gross $100 million domestically, of course a live-action Miles Morales movie is going to happen, and I would be down for it, along with the animated Spider-Woman spin-off, as long as Sony Pictures handles it smartly with its storytelling and representation, so I do wish them well. Also, I'm seeing Spider-Verse again in New York City. Oh, dang. Let's see. I think we'll go with one more comment on this one. Personally, I feel a bit conflicted about this news. With the upcoming Spider-Woman movie, I'm all for it, especially since I thought Gwen Stacy was one of the best parts of Across the Spider-Verse. As for the Miles Morales movie, I like the idea of it, but my issue is that Sony is making it given their track record with their live-action Spider-Man movies. Morbius, anyone? Okay, so he pretty much has doubt after movies like Morbius. Okay, I got you. All right, so that's pretty much all the major news that we have gotten or most of the news that we have gotten in terms of Spider-Verse, and we're gonna go into another break. And afterwards, we are going to go and talk about another movie that you have recently seen, Devon. But we are going to go and discuss about its future and if it's actually going to work well or not, because depending if it's going to be successful or not, well, we'll have to wait and see. And we are back and moving on to our next story. Devon, I would like to go and ask you now, we all know that you have recently seen Across the Spider-Verse, but there is also another major motion picture that just came out that you have seen. Can you share with us a bit of your thoughts on the live action remake of Disney's The Little Mermaid?
Honestly, I loved it personally. And for me, the biggest thing I did see your review, so I will agree with you. The best thing they did in this new movie was expanding the romance between Ariel and Eric. I really appreciate that they actually made it more interesting and made the characters a lot more dynamic than they were in the original. And I am not saying that the original movie is bad, because I love the original. I do. I watched that movie quite often as a kid. So for me to have loved this movie, I don't think is as good as the original. There's things I like about it more than the original. But it's funny enough, with Melissa McCarthy, I really did like her as Ursula, but I really found myself comparing her to Pat Carroll, and nobody can beat Pat Carroll. In my opinion, I like Melissa McCarthy, but she just did not sell it to me the way Pat Carroll did.
Really?
Personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised. That's actually one thing I'm more optimistic than you. I think Melissa McCarthy nailed it. I think she, I'm not saying she's better than Pat Carroll, but I think, honestly, she, really paid respects to what she actually did, what Pat Carroll has done. I would say, she's about on par.
I think so. I agree with that, because here's when I was watching it. Some of the lines in my head, I kept hearing Pat Carroll's voice whenever Melissa McCarthy came on. I mean, other than some of the added stuff they added, Ursula's sister or whatever. I mean, a lot of it I kept hearing hearing Pat Carroll in my head. So I was I don't want to say ruined the experience for me, but it really kind of just messed me up a little bit. But okay. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate that Melissa McCarthy did as well. She did, because she did really good. Mm-hmm. She did pay respects to the original. I respect that a lot. I liked the Jonah Hare King. He was great as Eric. He was amazing. I mean, honestly, he played the role so well. He expanded the character so well, and I liked Halle Bailey as Ariel a lot. She really actually did a good job, and I love that it's kind of like the Naomi Scott thing, where she actually played, Halle Bailey played Ariel so well. For me, I really like that. When I think of Ariel now, I can think of two great actresses, Halle Bailey and Jodie Benson. So I respect that a lot. It's kind of like with Naomi Scott. I loved her version of Jasmine in the live action Aladdin. I love that. I like that I can have two different comparisons, and you don't have to love both, and you don't even have to love, you know what I mean? You can like one or the other. You like both. And I like being able to say, hey, I like both. For me. I liked Halle Bailey a lot. So she impressed me as far as Ariel. And I really liked her singing voice. She's a very good singer.
So you would definitely give it a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's interesting. Well, what we are going to get into will be more of a different topic. Not necessarily about the movie itself, but at least when it was released, there was a lot of concerns and a lot of surprises as well. And that is specifically in regards to what's been happening with the international box office. Now, I will say right now that domestically, it is doing fine. it's actually been pulling around the same numbers so far as the typical Disney live action remake. It did, in fact, if I go into my source on Box Office Mojo, they have actually stated that on the first domestic weekend, it actually received $95.5 million. And if you do include Memorial Day, it ended up getting a total of almost 119 million. But when you look at how much it made internationally, well, it's not looking great. In fact, it was actually a whole lot less than what it did domestically. So that is one major thing that a lot of people have been talking about and has been brought up, like it actually brought up a lot of worry in terms of the future of the Little Mermaid remake and if it's going to turn out to actually be profitable. Because one thing you also got to really keep in mind is that this movie is expensive. According to my source on Deadline, it actually states that not only that it has, not only does it have a budget of $250 million, but there's an extra $140 million that they put in global marketing. So they would need to accumulate a lot of money in order to go and break even. Like at the very least, like maybe 500 million or even 600 million to ensure that Disney would go and actually consider the Little Mermaid remake a success. Now, there could be varying reasons as to why is it that right now the Little Mermaid remake is not doing well overseas. Some people would say it's because of the fatigue with all these Disney live action remakes, or some people would even claim that it's related to the controversy of having Halle Bailey play as Ariel, a prominent African American actress instead of a white girl who would go and look exactly like Ariel. Like that can play into the controversy and that can play into the result as well. And this can also affect into countries that have a clear biased opinion, such as China, for example. Like the Chinese, or specifically the Chinese communists, have very much expressed how much they hated the Little Mermaid remake because of its quote-unquote political correctness. So there are different factors onto that. But so far, the numbers that they are presenting, it's not too bad, especially on its second weekend with Spider-Verse coming out. Apparently it didn't do so bad. Like there was a drop of 57.5%, which yeah, it's a significant dip, but it's not that bad. They just went from 95.5 million to 40.6 million on its second weekend. And so far, the total amount that they have, as I am recording this, right now domestically, they have $186.2 million. Internationally, they have made 140.5 million, which in a combined total, they have $326.7 million. And that's currently how they are after 10 days of being released in theaters. Devon, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, because the thing is, this movie is controversial in general, basically for all the reasons you stated. Like, it's hard for me to sort of have, like, I can't say anything about these other countries because, it's every single country has different political agendas, and it's really hard to sort of pinpoint anything as far as the movie is concerned. So I guess for me, I'm kind of going, I sort of get it, but I'm also like, I don't know what'll happen in the future. Maybe things will get better, or who knows? I mean, even now with the Spider-Verse movie that came out, who knows what's going to be more popular overseas? It's really hard to say. It's just the luck of the draw, I guess. I mean, you had two big movies that came out within a week of each other. So how many people are like, what's more interesting to you? Are you going to go see a Disney live action remake, or are you going to go see a brand new movie that was a sequel to another Spider-Man movie? I mean, you got to sort of go, what are people's interests and what's gonna stick the landing, I guess. I really can't say much past that though.
Mm-hmm. Now, honestly, if I could put in my piece, now, I will say, last week, I was a bit concerned, and I was wondering, like, yeah, it was a bit unnatural to see how internationally it was doing relatively poorly compared to how things are going domestically. But then I will say my opinion kind of changed on the second weekend, especially with how it performed against Spider-Verse. Like, yeah, like technically on its second weekend, it's not as admirable as some of the other live action remakes, but I will say that it seems like The Little Mermaid is doing fine. Like, I think like, yeah, it's going to get some hits from like when more competition is going to come in, but I think it really is going to turn out okay. And that is especially the case if you look at some of the performances of the other Disney live action remakes. And one great example is with the Aladdin remake back in 2019, especially when this is a movie that, just like The Little Mermaid, was released on Memorial Day weekend. And the result of that, actually, funny enough, like you look at how it did domestically, it's almost identical. Because on its Memorial Day weekend, it opened up with $91.5 million, and including the Memorial Day weekend, it actually made almost $117 million. And while it didn't have a dip as bad as The Little Mermaid, it only, like, on its second weekend, it went down by 53.2% to end up with $42.8 million there. It still ended up doing fine, because in the long run, that's when we end up seeing the movie accumulating like a very sufficient amount of money where it ultimately became a success. Where in total, domestically, the Aladdin remake has made $355.5 million. Internationally, it has made $695 million, and it has a worldwide total of $1.05 billion. So in that regard, if we are seeing those same numbers with the Little Mermaid remake, at least in my opinion, I think that pretty much tells me that even with the competition that's going to be coming up during the summer, I think it will be doing okay. I think at the very least, I'm not going to say it's 100% sure, but I think it's almost a guarantee that it would actually become successful. I think Disney is going to go and turn a profit. And this is only counting the box office, by the way. This doesn't even count in terms of where the fridge did you go? Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'm right. Sorry, I had to fix my back.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. But this doesn't even count the amount of merchandising that they were able to sell. And this doesn't even count how it would later perform on Disney Plus, because that can also be a significant factor in terms of its success. So overall, with the Little Mermaid remake, like, yeah, like I understand the conversations where people are having that the success can be questionable, but I think at the end of the day, it will turn out okay, and at the very least, Disney will turn a profit. Now, is this going to be a $1 billion hit? That I honestly don't know. I think that's going to be a 50-50 thing where there is as much chance that it will happen as much as it may not. But that in that regard, I think we will just have to wait and see on that. But I will say that if it doesn't, then maybe that could be a call of concern with the people at Disney, where that could be the thing that could make them reevaluate what they are going to do with all those live action remakes. Because if the Little Mermaid isn't a major hit, if it's not like one of the biggest hits of 2023, then that could spell danger for some of the future films in the live action remake canon, such as like next year when we're gonna have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or the Mufasa prequel. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, sorry, go on.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead with your question first.
No, I was about to ask you, like at this point going on right now, do you think the Little Mermaid remake would end up getting $1 billion?
No, and only just because, unlike, The Lion King, yes, that was widely beloved, but that movie, like, I don't like it personally. I do not like the Lion King remake at all. I think it is so overrated. And I think for me, I think because there's so much controversy with the Little Mermaid remake and how people like to like just go after it even though they haven't seen it. Some people are not going to see it because there is a black Ariel. There's people that
Mm-hmm.
actively will not see it because there's a black Ariel. And I personally think that's unfortunate. And you know what? That's the only reason why I feel like with all the controversies that it has, that's already going to degrade some people from watching it. And even though I love it personally, and I will disagree with a lot of people on a lot of things. I mean, that's just the way it is with me. I don't always agree with public perception, but I think overall, I just don't think with this movie it's gonna make that $1 billion because unlike Lion King is all CGI animated. There's nothing that like nobody was going having controversies about Lion King other than the fact it's a freaking damn original with minor tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the Lion King remake is, and it's very disappointing in that. I hated it for that reason, and that's just me. Oh well. And Little Mermaid, on the other hand, yes, that was a widely beloved movie when that came out in 1989. I mean, that was a surprise hit of 1989. It was a great movie. And I think with so many people already not wanting to see the Little Mermaid remake just because of all the controversial things about it, I just don't think it's going to make it to that $1 billion mark.
But do you think at the very least it would be a hit? Like, would Disney end up turning a profit, or at the very least break even?
I think it'll break even for sure because there's going to be enough people that are going to want to go see it.
Okay. So basically, it will be profitable, but not $1 billion hit. That's what you think?
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, yeah, like I'm a bit the same. Like, I think honestly, like I do believe that it will turn a, like I said, I do believe it will turn a profit, but like currently very iffy if it would go and make $1 billion. I mean, like there could be ways that I could turn out to be wrong, and there is that chance. And especially like this Friday, it's going to be released in Japan, and Japan loves the live action remake. In fact, a good source of revenue from all these live action remakes, the reason why they make big bucks is actually because of Japan. So they would be able to go and really turn things around for that Little Mermaid live action remake, but that remains to be seen. So yeah, we will, like, it will be a hit, it will make money, but I don't know if it really is going to be the $1 billion hit that some people may expect, or that I'll admit, like back then, like in the past, I thought it would definitely be $1 billion hit, but who knows? Like at this point, with the reception that it got, I think it remains to be seen. But yeah, I guess with that said, we've pretty much expressed our whole thoughts on the matter. So, with that said, I would like to chat. I would like to go and pass to the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the box office results of The Little Mermaid? Do you think it's going to be successful? Do you think it's going to break $1 billion at the box office? Let me know what you all think on this. Let's see. From the look of the box office, the reason it didn't do well internationally, due to the lack of nostalgia, lack of star power, competition, and a few others, and it is so far performing like how Fast X performed, except it's doing the opposite, where the remake is doing well domestically like Fast X is doing internationally, but not doing well internationally like how Fast X is doing domestically. $1 billion hit won't happen, but it'll likely break even. I wonder how Elemental will perform. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. There's not a lot of high hopes going on with Elemental right now, especially when the reviews that have recently been released, like some critics are saying that it's mid. So I don't know. I think that's another subject right over there, and we'll get there when that time comes. Let's see now. For me, I think The Little Mermaid will break even. I'm saying that because compared to the other big movies coming out this summer, like Transformers, The Flash, and Indiana Jones, this one is gearing more towards female audiences than male audiences. That should let it have strong holds, at least until Barbie comes out in mid-July. The movie also has a decent hold internationally this past weekend against Across the Spider-Verse, so if it keeps holding well, I could see it hitting 600 million or 650 million worldwide. Interesting anecdote, I will say. And it is true that when you do think about The Little Mermaid, it does gear towards a completely different audience compared to many of the other movies that are coming out, at least this June, at least this month. Like when compared to going after like Across the Spider-Verse or Transformers or The Flash or Indiana Jones or whatever. Like, it's not going towards that same audience. It's going towards someone else. I would say the only real direct competition it has this month is Elemental. And even Ruby Gillman feels like one that's just way too far away. So in that regard, yeah, that's another good point of how it could be doing well, because like that specific audience will probably want to go to The Little Mermaid before those other films.
I agree with that too.
While I thought the new Little Mermaid was pretty mid with its weak visual effects and my yearning to drop kick a rapping bird, I will admit it did a ton right, so I guess I hope it turns a profit. I mean, if the Lion King remake could turn a profit despite how awful it was, why not a perfectly servable film like this? Though I do vouch it would have been better with Sebastian doing a crab rave dance. They couldn't have done that during the scuttlebutt or even Under the Sea. Yeah, and not to mention that considering that Sebastian is played by one of the Hamilton performers, Daveed Diggs, like you'd think there would be a moment we would have that crab rave, but sadly no. Like Sebastian has to be the only crab in the entire world of The Little Mermaid. Have you has there been any other crabs present in the Little Mermaid remake?
I don't remember any. Well, even in the original, they didn't have a lot of crabs either. I mean, that's kind of the point. I don't remember.
New conspiracy. New conspiracy. Sebastian took out the competition.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, did you remember seeing another crab in the original movie either?
I don't know. I don't even remember. Like maybe during the Under the Sea segment, but that's it.
I don't think so. I wouldn't remember that. But okay, maybe in the okay, I forgot. You know when they're going after Vanessa or whatever, and they're pinching like her nose or whatever, and she freaks out in pain. That was the only scene I could think of where they're like trying to like attack her. I think I need to rewatch the original again because that actually is a really good freaking question.
Yeah, are there other crabs in The Little Mermaid?
Oh my god, that sounds like a quote in the comments. Are there other crabs in The Little
Yes. Damn. All right, let's see what we got here. It is rather easy to point at countries like China or Russia and blame them for The Little Mermaid remake not doing that well, but I honestly think it isn't just that. It was released at a bad time with a lot of competition, but we might have finally reached the point where the general audience are finally getting tired of these live action remakes. Even if it does get more money in the future, this could finally tell Disney that these movies no longer are profitable as they used to be. Well, I don't, honestly, a lot of people are saying that it's because of the competition, but I think it could be more due to fatigue. Because when you do look at the other ones, like with the Aladdin remake or Lion King or even Beauty and the Beast, they had a significant amount of competition during their time, and they still managed to pull $1 billion. So I think it is more the fact that people are just getting a bit tired, and the reputation of these live action remakes have been pretty poor, to the point that now it is starting to financially affect them. And while this may turn a profit, I'm sure the people at Disney might be a bit concerned and could have some meetings if the Little Mermaid remake does not hit $1 billion.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, let's see what other comments we got. I honestly doubt the Little Mermaid live action remake will make that $1 billion because of the number of blockbusters coming out this summer. We already just got Spider-Verse, and the next is Transformers, and then we got The Flash and Elemental, and then later Indiana Jones. While I did enjoy the remake a good bit, I do not think it has the legs to fully survive the upcoming survive the upcoming competition. Okay, we will wait and see on that. Let's see what other comment. I think I'll read one more and then we'll have our break. Okay, I'll go over here. I'm actually not that surprised that this is underperforming. Between the reputation these remakes have and the mixed reaction that this movie has, it doesn't shock me, although I still think it will make a profit, but it might end up going down given the competition coming up like Transformers, The Flash, Indiana Jones, and many others. So we'll see what happens. However, if there's one movie I want to see flop, it definitely is The Flash. If it does, then we will at least have some justice. Oh yeah, this is going to be a wild time when mid-June comes. I think honestly, regardless of your opinion, I think we animation fans, we need to stand together and support Elemental. Like support like I think it is safe to say it is much better to support a mid-Pixar movie than a superhero film starring a real-life criminal.
Yeah, I'm actually with that. I'm with that. I want to go see Elemental, so...
Yeah. Are you familiar with the controversies with Ezra Miller, by the way?
I am not.
Oh boy. Yeah, that whole thing is an entire mess right there. But anyways, we're gonna go into our next break, and speaking of Elemental and speaking of Pixar, that's gonna be the subject of our next story when we do come back. However, we don't really have some good news with what's coming up, so stay tuned on that. And we are back. And funny enough, I just came back explaining to Devon about the entire story of what's been going on with Ezra Miller. So Devon, you've learned a few things.
Yeah, like it's basically what I was saying earlier. I had no interest in seeing Flash in the first place. Now I really have no interest in seeing the Flash, so yeah. I will support Elemental. Support Elemental!
Exactly. Oh my god. But going back to our story that we are talking about, we will be discussing about Pixar. And recently there has been an event going on that, considering that the business side of Disney has not been admirable, now it's at the point where people are really upset, and they're now doing some actions that are hitting close to home to some people. So with that said, let's go and discuss about the layoffs. Yes, it was recently announced. In fact, it actually happened during the weekend, in which Disney has actually laid off 75 people, specifically at Pixar. Yes, they had to go and cut out 75 jobs. And there were two people that have been mentioned in the media that have been very significant. And these are actually two veterans at Pixar. They have been literally working at the company for decades. The first one is Angus MacLane, who is said to be a 26-year animator at Pixar and has been working at the company ever since Toy Story 2 and has worked on many of the beloved Pixar movies. But very recently, he has actually been noted to be the director of Lightyear. And another person that they have fired is Galyn Susman. She has been working at Pixar ever since the release of Toy Story back in 1995, and she has been noted to actually be a producer of Lightyear. But one significant thing that a lot of people have pointed out about Galyn is that she is deemed as the woman who saved Toy Story 2, or well, technically saved Toy Story 2. But the thing that happened, the story about it is that apparently at Pixar, there was a moment while during production of Toy Story 2, they made a mistake where they accidentally deleted everything from Toy Story 2. All the progress that they have done on the computer is just flat out gone. And where Galyn Susman comes in is that apparently she actually has the entire backup of the whole movie at her home. Like, okay, maybe like there may be some facts that might be like screwed up or somewhere, but apparently she did save a version of the film, or at least in terms of the progress, she saved all that back at home, in which she managed to save the entire production of Toy Story 2. And that's what many people have pointed out, and many clickbait articles have mentioned, is the fact that she, you know, if it weren't for her, Toy Story 2 would not exist today. There was also another mention that one of the 75 people, as well as Angus and Galyn, is Michael Agulnek, who has been Pixar's vice president of worldwide publicity ever since 2015, and he has been let go as well. Now, technically, this was all part of Disney's big plan to go and try to save up some money, that they had to go and downsize a bit in order to save up, I believe, like $5.5 billion by 2024 or something like that. And one of the first major actions that they have done is to go and fire 7,000 people. And I guess with the ones at Pixar, that is among the 7,000. Now, they have completely finished off eliminating all those jobs and to save up billions of dollars. And that doesn't even include some of the other actions that they would go and do, including getting rid of content on Disney Plus so that they can go and have that write down. But yeah, so far we are seeing a lot of the consequences, and that even in animation studios like Pixar, they are not safe from all the different layoffs. Devon, I'll let you have the first comment on this.
The one question I have was, you know, Galyn Susman or whatever the name was.
Galyn Susman, yeah.
Yeah, was she pregnant at the time, or wasn't she like on maternity leave when she had the backup? Because I thought she was on maternity leave or something like that.
I think, I don't know, it's been a while since I heard the story, but I know like she recently had a kid, and I think maybe she had a maternity leave. Actually, Chatwall, if you know the story more, maybe you could go and respond to this in case, but go on.
You know, the funny thing is, I do feel bad for all these people that got laid off, and I'm not in support of Disney doing this. I get why they're doing it, and I guess that in my mind they fired the wrong people. It's like, it's unfortunate because I know Lightyear wasn't a big box office success like they were hoping for, but at the same time, I'm like, they seem to be targeting specifically the people that worked on Lightyear, which is kind of unfortunate because, like, I get why people had doubts about that movie. No, it's not the world's best, but Toy Story is so good that it's really hard to beat it. In personally, even though a lot of people are having issues with the Toy Story, like they're doing like the 5th one now of Toy Story.
Yeah.
I think that's what they said. They're doing like a Toy Story 5. Like, oh my god.
Like I remember they did that announcement that ironically, it was at the same time that they announced all those layoffs. Like they announced that they were going to do a Frozen 3 and a Toy Story 5, I believe.
Yeah, that's what the announcement was.
Mm-hmm. And I think at the same time they also said a Zootopia 2.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They had the big 3. It was, Toy Story 5, Frozen 3 and Zootopia 2. So I I'm just I honestly I feel bad. Like I don't know how to feel about this personally. This is kind of like that story where I'm like heartbroken for the people that did get fired, and it's very unfortunate that this happened. I'm honestly hoping for them they find better work somewhere else if Disney's going to treat them
Mhm.
like this, especially after all the years they were working at Pixar. So I'm really hoping they find somewhere where they get treated a lot better than what Disney pulled. So that's what I'm
Mhm.
hoping anyway, but we don't know for sure what'll happen. And oh, sorry about my cat. She's being annoying. Here, you can have see kitty love. Have fun, chat wall. But as I was saying, I'm really hoping for the best for the people that got fired, and I'm really hoping they find better work or they find something else that will help them well with financially. They really need the money and they need a job, so hopefully they find something.
Mhm. Yeah, and by the way, just to go and mention, someone in the chat wall did confirm that yes, she was actually in maternity leave. So you were actually right on that.
Ah, I thought so. I remembered that story and I was like, "Wait a minute, wasn't she on maternity leave?" Because I remember she had a kid and that's the only reason she was able to save the movie. Thank goodness for women and the ways of pregnancy and everything. So,
Hmm.
it's ironic that it was a woman that saved the movie.
Yes, and if I may go and put my piece on this, yeah, like it's depressing and frustrating to see all this happen, and especially coming from two people whom like almost dedicated their careers to Pixar, that they have been working ever since the 90s, or at least the late 1990s, and this is the treatment that they get because of one project that didn't work out. Now, I'll just say, like my opinion, I actually liked Lightyear. I don't think it's the best Pixar film, and technically, yes, it is the weakest of the Toy Story movies. But I still think that it is good as is, and it still did some things that actually they're fantastic, including the animation, and especially the first act of the film is just absolutely wonderful. But still, though, even though it didn't turn out to be a box office hit, and some people could even say it's one of Pixar's biggest flops, it didn't deserve this kind of treatment. Like, it's not that it shouldn't be like so bad to the point that you have to get rid of the people after the years of service that they have done. And that's like definitely with the case of Angus MacLane and Galyn Susman. Like, yeah, they were a part of it, like as the director and the producer, but still, like they all, they have been a valuable asset at Pixar for years. Like one of the top animators, one of the top like top members of the creative team, and they're saying like, oh, you did this one mistake, okay, well, you have to get out. I think honestly this is going to be a major plus for whichever studio is going to hire them next. Like, yeah, they didn't get, yeah, like they got the boot from Pixar, but this is going to be a serious gain, like getting a major Pixar veteran like either Galyn or Angus to go and work for them. And it's also frustrating to see like these executives going out of their way to go, like they like, and just like the idea of Disney firing thousands of their employees in order to go and save up money. You know that there are tons of other ways that they could go and do so, but you know that because they are specifically American corporations, or that they are American executives, they would never do that. Like, one way that if they really wanted to go and save up money, then the executives should have honestly cut off some of their own costs, cut off some of their own payments. Like, one good example, I believe it was Nintendo who actually did that, where because the business was going so badly back in the 2010s, because the Wii U sales were going so, they were going down so much, that the executives at the time, they decided to go and cut off their pay instead of firing their employees, because they know that their people are a valuable asset. And that's why and now they're reaping the rewards. Like now business with Nintendo has gotten so much better, so everyone is being rewarded with what's going on with that success at Nintendo. But because America has such a corrupted greed in their capitalist system, they would never want to do that. It's almost unheard of that an executive would go and slash their pay in order to save costs in the company instead of firing their people, especially when it comes to mega corporations such as Disney. Like, it doesn't matter if it's either Bob Chapek or Bob Iger leading. The fact that they are even doing that in the first place, and to go and cut down jobs like what they're doing here, that they have to sacrifice some of their workforce, some of the people who would need those jobs, regardless of how long that they have been in the company. Like, it's honestly really hurtful to see, and it's honestly really shameful. And like I do get why they would have to go and do it. Like, it's understandable, but then again, it really does highlight a serious flaw within the capitalist system, or specifically within the American capitalist system, where those at the top, they only want to sacrifice whatever is at the bottom of them. They don't want to make their own sacrifices. And that's why I feel like there's a lot of bullcrap that's going on with all the layoffs. Like, there are many other ways that you could go and try to save up money, and cutting off people's jobs should not be one of them. And it's truly, and honestly, it really feels like a shameful act to see those 7,000 jobs being cut out. But then there's also another thing that I do want to mention, and this is also a very frustrating thing, is seeing the reaction of the cartoon community in regards to this news. Like, I know that they come in many different names. Like, well, like some people say the animation community, the cartoon community, or nowadays they're often referred to as animation Twitter. But my God, it is so heartless to see some of these reactions. Not everyone, of course, but some of them. Oh my God, like, the masks are off where people really do expose themselves, because unfortunately we are actually seeing people celebrating these layoffs. Specifically, like, some people have actually cheered for Angus MacLane being fired because they don't like Toy Story 2. Like, that is at the point where, like, it feels massively heartless, where people like, and it really shows how some people, that they don't care about others, they only care about the product that they make. Or especially the hypocritical thing that's been going on, where like they would celebrate Angus MacLane being fired because they didn't like Lightyear, but then they would throw all their hearts towards Galyn. Or is it Galyn? Yeah, Galyn. Yeah, they would throw all their hearts to her because she is the woman who saved Toy Story 2. All right, let me ask you this then. If you really care about Galyn so much, name me 5 other things that she has done. Considering that she has been a longtime Pixar veteran, if you really do care about her, can you name me 5 other things that she actually did do? Because if not, then you do not care about Galyn. You only cared about Toy Story 2. You're only judging it based on your biases on animated movies. Like, oh, that person deserves to be fired because I don't like that movie. But this person should stay, and that's injustice to her because I like that movie. Like, no, that is bullcrap. Like, why is it fair to be happy about Angus being fired because he directed Lightyear, despite the fact that he was one of the top animators of Toy Story 2? And why is it okay for people to go and support Galyn when she was considered as the woman who saved Toy Story 2 when she was a producer on Lightyear? Like, it honestly, this news, I personally feel like excuse me. I personally feel like this really openly exposed who is it amongst the cartoon community or animation Twitter who has empathy and who doesn't. Like, there really is no in between here. And honestly, I just feel like it is so massively shameful that there are people who would even celebrate people losing jobs in the first place. And I mean, it's not like Angus MacLane or Galyn, like, they would say very bigoted things. It's not like they would go and spread homophobic or transphobic conspiracy theories, or they would go and spread some kind of like or they would go and like show white nationalist supports, or they would go and legitimately commit crimes like mass shootings or stuff like that. They didn't do any of that. No, like technically their biggest crime is being associated with a Pixar film that didn't do much money. And honestly, in that regard, like, it's not only shameful that Disney would go and do this, but it's shameful that there are some people that would go and react that way. It's true. And that's like a major part as to why this news is just very frustrating, because this shouldn't be a news in which people feel mixed about it or even feel some kind of happiness. No, that's just flat out wrong. Like honestly, if you feel like those people deserve it because they worked on Lightyear and you don't like it, I mean, you can have whatever opinion on Lightyear you want, but if it's like really screwed up to the point where you feel like it had your biases have to be based on the fate of people's livelihoods, then honestly, you got problems, dude. You're not intelligent enough to separate the art from the artist, and that really is another example as to why is it that animation Twitter or the cartoon community literally knows nothing about animation. They don't know how it works. They don't know how it's being made. They don't know the people who are working in there. Like, honestly, the opinions of animation Twitter or the cartoon community, like, this is why I feel like it should be invalid, that their opinions don't matter. So yeah, yeah, I know it's a mouthful, but yeah, I know it was a mouthful. It was a lot, but I mean, Devon, you are lucky that you don't have a Twitter account. You didn't know about this, but yeah, I just needed to let that out.
I totally get it. Like, it's like, I totally agree with you, because I didn't like Lightyear. I didn't love Lightyear. I didn't even hate it. I thought it was just okay. But did I go after the creative people who went and made the movie? No, because it's not for me, and I'm not gonna go after the people that made the movie I don't like. That's not my belief. If I don't like a movie, it's because I don't like the product, not because of the people who made it. And unfortunately, there's so many different creative directors, writers, and producers that make all kinds of movies that are both good and bad. So, like, it's like, here's an example. Like, I loved Linda Wolverton. She is not, like, she had really great screenplays back in the 90s. I know she had some controversy now. Don't get me started. But I liked some of her later stuff, even though she's a bit feminist and a little too crazy. But that's just me. I'm not going to go after her completely, but I know she has some issues. I know she has issues. But I digress. I don't like to go after directors specifically. I mean, I will admit I am not a big Andrew Stanton fan, only because I don't like his movies. It's just not, his directing style's not for me. But do I hate the guy and want him to, like, possibly lose his job? No. I never have. I just don't like his style. And I feel bad for these Pixar veterans that had been there for years to just get booted off Disney for doing one subpar Pixar movie. I mean, that's really how I feel. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. And it's not like John Lasseter, who was just a bad guy in general.
Exactly.
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
that's totally different.
Yeah, John Lasseter is totally justifiable in order to get rid of him. Like, he was harassing women, like he was going into like sexual abuse territories. Like, yeah, that's like, getting rid of John Lasseter, that is perfectly understandable. Like, yeah, that's justifiable. Like, what Angus MacLane and what Galyn Susman has done with Lightyear, honestly, that is not. Like, okay, they did one movie that is bad. That doesn't mean that they're not going to make another movie that wouldn't be, that would end up becoming that would become successful or not.
So that, I mean, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you on a lot of the things you said, especially about corporate capitalism. I totally agree with that. And I definitely have, like, it's not just like movie studios, and it's everywhere with all these corporate people up top. They always want what's more for them and don't care about the workers. It does
Mhm.
not matter what job it is. It doesn't matter. It's everywhere. Fast food joints. It happens at schools. It happens everywhere. And it breaks my heart when we have to, like, as the little man, we have to fight for more power because the corporate people don't want to give up their power. And they don't get what's going on at the lower levels.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
just
that
that's a thing.
yeah, I mean, that's why we have unions. That's why there's the writer strike going on, because they don't want to be treated that way, you know? They're tired of it. And I'll even say, like, I know that in the past I used to be like that, you know? Like, I used to have that kind of attitude, but nowadays I have definitely learned my lesson, and and I could guarantee you that kind of attitude, you know, that kind of attitude of wanting someone to be fired just because of your biases for movies, that's really not going to get you anywhere. That's really going to be something that will ruin your reputation in the long run. Like, regardless of who you are, like, if you have a reputation of a horrible person, that's going to carry you, like, that's going to go everywhere, like in your life on the internet and in your personal life right now. So, like, be more aware of your actions, because you never know, in the long run you're going to lose a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. If you don't if you aren't careful, like, I'm not going to say everybody has their opinions and everybody has their right to them. But if you are being to the point of race, like, prejudiced, going after people for their beliefs, and you're just bigoted, and I I just can't, or pretentious or egotistical, shut up. Yeah.
And that's especially the case that when it comes to Lightyear, like, a lot of the hate towards it is because there was one scene, there was the same-sex kiss. So there was a lot of people that they're celebrating they're celebrating that the people of Lightyear are being fired because of that same kiss thing. And honestly, if you're doing that because of the homophobic reasons, then please go to the hospital, because if you don't support gay rights, you have a serious mental problem, and whatever you call political beliefs, that's actually you being unhealthy. So please get cured of your illness before you go and spread whatever opinion you want on the internet.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love how for some reason on Skype I don't hear you clapping. Like, it decided to muffle out that volume.
Hold on. Let me do this.
Not even, still quiet.
Really?
Yeah,
Hilarious.
it's still nothing. I think it only captures your voice.
That's funny.
Dang.
That's all right. I'll just be like, woo, woo, woo. There.
Yeah. All right. By the way, I do want to go and ask the chat wall what you think, but we're gonna go on a break, and then when we come back, that's when we will go into the chat wall, and then we will go and discuss about what we have talked about with the layoffs and stuff like that. So let's just have a quick break right there, at least to go and reset the timer on the ads for Twitch. So let's just go and quickly do that. All right, so now that we have returned, it is time that I ask the chat wall, how do you all feel about the news in which Disney has laid off 75 people at Pixar, including Angus MacLane and Galyn Susman? So let me know what you think on that. Honestly, it is a total shame. Like, every person from Pixar really did their jobs. Like, Lightyear was my Fantasia 2000. Zurg may need work, but my compliments to the director. He should have gotten that Annie. And Galyn Susman for Toy Story 2, I applaud to being the savior. May they all have the best of luck in the future. And I hope if maybe that'll change their minds, I want them maybe to make a public apology for firing them in the first place. I don't know, man. I don't know if Disney would go and do that. I don't think they have enough cares. Let's see.
I don't think so either.
It's absolutely heartbreaking what happened to Angus MacLane, Galyn Susman, and everyone else that had been laid off by Disney. I'm sure they will find a new job elsewhere as soon, and will also improve their skills, because I think Angus has strong potential to make more action movies. He's got the skills and experience of making more action films. I wish them the best and good luck. Also, I'm surprised to know that Angus and I are both are born in the same area in Southern California. Let's see. This really sucks. Angus and Galyn have been there for decades, and the fact that they have been thrown under the bus just for a quick buck. It sucks, and I wish them the best for them and all the other laid-off employees. I doubt that this is Pixar's fault. This was most likely done by corporate after bad decisions caused by the old regime. That wasn't the studio's fault. Just a sad day for Pixar. They all deserve better. Absolutely, man. This is honestly extremely upsetting. The fact that they decided to fire Angus MacLane and even ended up firing Galyn Susman, who saved Toy Story 2, is just insulting, and I hope they find new jobs. Honestly, between this and the content removal from Disney+, this honestly really proves how much damage Bob Chapek did to Disney, and how even though he's gone, he will forever leave a stain and will be one of the most infamous things to ever happen to the Walt Disney Company. Let's see here. I know, and that's also another thing that a lot of people have brought up. Like, many people are blaming Bob Chapek for what has happened, because under his regime at the Walt Disney Company, apparently, like, business has really not been going well, to the point that now he's being sued by the shareholders. So yeah, like, I don't know if I can 100% confirm that this is Bob Chapek's fault, but I could see how people can feel that way. Let's see what else we got here. Pixar hasn't had the greatest, hasn't had it easy in recent years, with their movies either getting dropped on Disney Plus, being considered underwhelming, or both. These layoffs is like Pixar got stomped right after they fell down, and the fact that people are somehow happy only because one of them made an okay movie makes us think someone has put lead into Twitter's water supply. Oh, we know who did. Isn't that right, Mr. Musk? Anyways, it would not surprise me that we might even see most of the fired employees go alongside the writer's strike to critique Bob Iger's plan. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually even surprised that, the fired employees didn't do something about it, or teamed up with the writer's strike to go and help improve their livelihood. Let's see. While these layoffs are absolutely terrible, the one I'm most pissed off is Galyn Susman. I mean, if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have Toy Story 2 in the first place. You have someone who saved your entire movie and you throw her out like trash. What the hell, Pixar? But the main takeaway from this, guys, seriously, next year, go support Elio and Inside Out 2, not because Pixar needs money, but because, well, they just sound like great movies. Like, I would also say go and support Elemental as well, for the sake of Pixar, especially if you want Pixar to make more original movies. Even if Elemental may not turn out to be great or even good, at least it is an original film. So if you want them to do more original stuff than sequels, then I recommend maybe go and watch Elemental. I'm just saying. Let's see.
With you there.
The news is sad and awful and just a damn shame. I honestly hope that these artists can get other jobs at the studio. I've been lucky to turn off Twitter notifications to not see the awful behavior animation Twitter has been celebrating Angus's firing. It's why I've been defending Peter Son and Elemental, because I know it's a personal project. People shouldn't be disposal workforce. CEOs are disposal. They just fire people who they know can't fire back or try to fight against the system. Definitely. The worst part about all this is that they aren't just random people who worked at Pixar. These are people who have contributed so much to the company, and in the case of Galyn Susman, literally being able to save a movie from being lost media. This is just further proof of how scummy the Walt Disney Company can be, and the mega corporations are not your friends. Lightyear may have been a box office flop, but that is not an excuse to fire people who worked on it or any other projects. Exactly. I think I'm going to read one more comment, and then we will go and get into our grand finale, which is a real grand finale. I'm not one of those doom and gloom Disney haters who say that the company is one bad movie away from going under, and I know that Disney would never kill Pixar because of how valuable it is for them, but this is still rather disheartening. This is why I'm hoping that Elemental is a surprise hit at the box office, or at the very least become Pixar's Encanto when it comes to Disney Plus. The fact that it doesn't have Ezra Miller in it means that it's already the best movie being released on June 16th. All right, so with all that said, let us now go and take one more break where we will get into the grand finale, and you really don't want to miss this one because we, honestly, after all these years that I've been doing this podcast, this is honestly the craziest story that I've talked about yet. And Devon, I think you can even vouch on me for that because you also have experience on it.
Yes, for sure.
Oh yeah, so let's go take a break and be ready for that big moment.
Cat.
You got your cat? Hold on, no, hold on, no. Wait, you need to show the cat again. Can you show the cat again?
She is.
There you go. We got the cat.
Yes, my beautiful
All right.
kitty cat.
So, with that said, I believe now it is time we get on to... Wait for it. The grand finale! And like I said, over the years that I've done this, in fact, I think it's now been 5 years since I've done AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, but what we are going to talk about right over here may be the craziest story yet. And this is not related to any news that's been happening in the animation industry or in entertainment or what's been happening in the world. This is honestly a personal tale that I need to go and share with you all of just the madness that, admittedly, part of it is my fault that I had to go and endure. Isn't that right, Devon?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Part of it is your stupidity and not listening to me. But go ahead and keep going with this one, because I am going to be bragging about the fact you didn't listen to me.
I know. So what I am talking about specifically, it's regarding a fan. And honestly, this fan has to be the most toxic and most insane fan that I ever came across on the internet. Now, this individual goes by the name of Diego, or sometimes on social media, you would see them as Scout Art. That's like kind of the surname that they would go and give themselves. Now, the thing with Diego is that, much like many of you who are watching or listening, Diego is a big passionate fan of both Disney and animation. In fact, like, he has a very strong passion for it where he wants to go and pursue a career on that. And I would even go as far and say that his dream that he would often boast about on social media is that one day he would work at Disney Animation so that he could become a director of a 2D animated musical. You know, that was his big dream. That's the big thing that he really wants to go and do. And he has other dreams as well. He also wants to be a voice actor so that he could be the voice of Luffy for the Latin American version of One Piece. That's another thing that he would go and often boast about. And in that regard, honestly, that's perfectly fine. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has passions that they want to go and pursue. But the big thing with Diego that really separates himself from everyone else is that his dreams, he doesn't view them as dreams. He views them as prophecies. He doesn't think. He knows that it's going to happen. That for some reason, it's like he saw it in a crystal ball and he sees those are the things that will happen in his life. And he feels like it is an absolute guarantee that it will happen. And with that attitude of thinking that those are prophecies, he acts as if he made it. He acts as if he has already done those things and that he takes pride in those things. So that's why he would go and boast about his accomplishments or about what he is going to do, and has this very narcissistic and egotistical attitude towards everything that he would go and write. Every post he makes, like, has that air of ego of just feeling so superior, of feeling so great about himself, just has to keep on boasting about who he is. Like, honestly, he has an ego that can be fairly compared to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Like, he really is that kind of individual that he feels like he's just so great. In fact, on multiple occasions, he would go and boast that he is this multi-talented artist, about how great he is and that he's a wonderful human being all the time. And often when he would go write a comment on whatever post he sees, he always has to go and switch the subject to make it about himself. It doesn't matter if it's related to whatever the topic is on the post, or like whatever I would write. Like, it could be completely random, but he would have to go and desperately find a way to make it about himself, that he had that somehow just derail the conversation so that it's just about him. It's like, literally, it's almost all that he could go and talk about. It's just talking about himself, regardless if it has anything to do with the post that I would go and write. So, and like, you've probably seen some of these posts, right, Devon?
Yeah, I have. And what's so sad, I've seen this one on YouTube. I can't remember which YouTube video it was. It was the one of our previous podcasts we did together. He despises me because I'm friends with you. He hates the fact that I am friends with you, and that it's like, what's the secret to being friends with AniMat? And I was like, dude, there's no secret. It's called, I have a personality that we happen to get along. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. So,
I
wow.
deal with multiple people like that. Like, they're like, what's the secret? There's no secret. I didn't, like, put a magic spell on you.
Sorry, I just need to mention that there was a very well-placed subscription into what you just said. So honestly, that was a really good job. Thank you, DJ, for the subscription there. But yeah, that also brings up another thing that he views himself like, considering that he also thinks that he's a great animation aficionado. Like, there could be times when he's like obsessed with me, that he idolizes me. And this is actually the first act where, like, I got my serious red flag on him. Oh, and thank you for the subscription. Oh, thank you for the gifted subscription there. That's very nice. But I remember, like, he desperately really wants to be like me, like be like all knowledgeable about animation, and like, because we have similar interests in animation and Disney, he really thinks that he is above everyone else, and that we are like kindred spirits. That often that he so desperately wants to be partners with me, that we're like spiritual brothers in a sense. Like, he would keep using that kind of vocabulary, thinking that he is much more than just a fan, and that he is above everyone else amongst my fan base, where he is more special, and that we must work together. And that and like, more often than not, he would express how he is just so desperate to want to collaborate with me, like be a guest star on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, or like collaborate with him on like one of his videos, like one project. And now thinking about it, it really does say a lot about his personality, and really does say a lot about how he views himself. He really wanted me to do a collab with him where we would just sing "It's Tough to Be a God" from The Road to El Dorado.
God, I remember that.
Yeah, he really wanted that kind of collaboration. And honestly, I would try to be as respectful as I can be, and I would tell him no, or I would just go and decline. And I would tell him, look, I don't want to have any kind of like major partnership. I don't want that kind of relationship. I want, what you and me have. I just want it to be just a fan creator basis, nothing more. You know, and I tried to reason with him, but he would just deny it. He would refuse, you know, he would just reject all that. He would keep disrespecting my wishes, and he just wants to go and view me as a partner. Like even to this day, he desperately wants to view me as like a brother from another mother, or like kindred spirits. Like he would still make these comments to this day. And it is because of that where over time he ended up growing a bit of that resentment because I said no to him. And often one criticism that he would keep on repeating over the years is that I'm apparently picky. And he would go and like pinpoint at random moments in whatever review I have done over the years, like try to point out like, well, you know, you would say things like this, and you know, that's just wrong. That's just you being picky. And he would keep on saying that I'm picky, I'm picky, I'm picky. But I know that's not a valid criticism, because for him, I'm only picky because I did not want him to be a guest on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, or I do not agree with him to go and work on like one of his videos. Or also, and it is also worth noting, like, another factor of his obsession, I forgot to bring this up, but he also has his own YouTube channel where he would make animation look back style videos. I think like he legitimately made an like a full-on copy of animation look back, but going into the history of Warner Animation Group, or all the animated movies that Warner Brothers has done over the years. And there was one segment in particular, when he reached the 1990s and the early 2000s, he would go and try to praise me like a god. Like literally, like there is an image where you see like SpongeBob from the Krusty Krab training video, where he was just like bowing down to the poster of the Krabby Patty, but instead it was actually my face. And from there, he literally took my video where I would talk about the history of Space Jam and Looney Tunes Back in Action, and he would just put it up. Like he would like cut out the intro and the conclusion of it and just straight up upload those videos to make it look like a collaboration. Like he flat out stole my video of that to like, you know, just for the purpose of living his fantasy that we're collaborating, that we are buddies. And I've never done this before, but I had like, or maybe I have a few times, but I had to go and strike down that video because it's legit like it's flat out stealing. And like honestly, he did not learn his lesson from there. Like, honestly, he didn't understand why I had to go and punish him, because he kept on saying, but my intentions are good. My intentions are well placed in here. Why can't you see my intentions? Because like your intentions should be above the law. Your intentions should be above everything else. Like, bull crap, man. Like, you're just saying your intentions does not freaking hold up to court. So that was honestly my first major red flag of how this individual is a little bit messed up at times. And yeah, like when you mentioned Devon, like that whole factor of like the pure jealousy that he would have, like can you, Devon, could you please explain to the audience when you tried to reason with Diego?
Oh God, that was like a headache and a half, because I tried reasoning with him too. Like, he was just on that same, like, how are you friends with AniMat? How can I get on the podcast? How can I do this? And I'm just like, dude, you know, he's not going to be friends with you if you're going to act like this. And I just kept, like, saying, like, I've known him for years. I know what Matt's like. We're friends. Like, Matt and I are actually friends, which most people have figured out by now. But Diego, in his mind, he is like, no, these two are not the dynamic duo. I actually found that original post. He's like,
oh, really?
And yeah, it was pretty funny. I was like dying. Yeah, he was like, yeah, Devon and Matt are the dynamic duo. Yeah, right. And did the like frown emoji or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, you are just jealous. You just can't stand me because of the fact that I am friends with you.
Yeah, that and you have something that he so desperately wants.
that's the way, like, I tried talking to him, I tried saying my piece, try to give as best advice as I could give. Did he want to listen? No. So I decided, for the sake of my mental health, and I've dealt with stupid, blocked him. I was like, F this. Fuck this. Sorry. No, I'm not dealing with this. And I don't know how many times I've had to tell, I'm like, dude, Matt, block him. I kept telling you to block him. I don't know how many times. You're just like, no, I kind of like the entertainment of this guy being a freaking asshole.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that. I know. But
Why?
But yeah, I mean, but you do bring up another good point about Diego, and that is regarding the fact that another toxic element about him is that he cannot handle criticism whatsoever because he has this godlike view upon himself. He thinks he is immune to any form of criticism, or whatever criticism is offered to him, it needs to be delivered in a positive way. Like, you have to be very nice to him because he is so sensitive and stuff like that. And yet, ironically, the thing is with Diego is that he is that kind of person that he cannot handle being treated like how he treats everyone else, because he is perfectly fine. He has no filter when it comes to criticizing others, when it comes to saying things that he has a problem with everyone else, like especially with me. Like, if he's not commenting about himself, he's just complaining about a completely random thing that I would do. Like, I remember there was one comment that he did on one of my shorts. Like, you know how I would go and upload short, like quick 1 minute shorts, like on YouTube or on Facebook, on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. Like, there was at one point that he would go and comment and say, like, you've already mentioned this in a video you made a few years ago. Oh, you're just repeating yourself now. What the hell, man? Why don't you find more original things to talk about? Like, he would just keep on complaining again and again and again. But if you go and criticize any behavior that he would go and make, he would quickly go and try to get rid of that, get rid of it. He would try to deflect any criticism that he would make. He would always find like any excuse in regards to his behavior, or try to go and make the criticism be more about you. Because if there's one thing he cannot handle is any form of criticism. Like, this person really gets triggered. Like, he gets very much unhinged. He is at his worst when you would go and criticize him. Like, I'm just saying right now, with the kind of obsessiveness that he has, and with the kind of like mental stability he would have in terms of criticism, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that entirely, but I do believe John Lennon and Selena had that kind of fan before and did not end well for them. In fact, I would even say, like I have thought about a few times, if there ever was a day that suddenly I would meet Diego in real life, I would question my survivability. I would question my survival rate at that point.
Okay, I have found it. I have found what
You did?
I found the thing when I was trying to talk to him. This was what he said back to me.
Okay.
And it's long, so be warned, guys. I guess I have no choice but to respect specifically that kind of opinion, but I am very disappointed on your kind of ungrateful response and viewpoint. When I am trying to be nice with noble actions as a special exception, and you should know that I share specific things to the people I trust, blood or not related, when it comes to new friendships made as a Valentine gift, or when I'm trying to help AniMat. Because despite the things that happen between the two of us, at least I have a loyal heart. So eventually he can be wrong about my actions. Even personally, keep in mind, poor guy. I am an Asperger's syndrome with like some filmmakers, and hopefully you do appreciate, oh my gosh, I gotta find it, what I did to my YouTube channel regarding the WB animation history look back, on par with his works. Take care now. Bye then, but don't estimate things, please. Still respectfully speaking, wish me luck on, on my multifaceted talents. My
Yeah,
response was, alrighty then, bye.
Yo, that's
I
one thing he
blocked.
would keep saying. That is one thing that he would legit keep on saying. Like, if you criticize him, his common response would be, don't underestimate me. That's almost his catchphrase. He would keep telling people, don't underestimate me. You know you shouldn't underestimate me. And that's another toxic trait that he has, loyalty. And that's one thing I know, like, I know I had to block him, and why he would never go away is because he thinks loyalty is such a positive trait. He doesn't realize any of the problems when it comes to loyalty. And there are some things that he is loyal about that can be a very serious problem. Like, I remember, like, one thing that he's also loyal is the monarchy. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you've watched it and stuff like that, then you know that I am not a fan of the monarchy whatsoever. So you can imagine the kind of comments in which he was very upset at me for the things that I would have to say in regards to the monarchy, whether it be with Queen Elizabeth or King Charles or whatever. But also, another person that he is very loyal to, John Lasseter. No joke. He is one of the biggest defenders of John Lasseter. Anytime he is brought up that you would criticize him or that you would bring up his misconducts that he has done, he is always the kind of guy that's like, well, at least he's not Harvey Weinstein. At least he's not that bad. He is a great person in terms of how he innovated animation. Don't forget about that. Like that, yeah, and that, you know, that's one reason why I really am hoping that he never works in the animation industry, because people like him who are like John Lasseter loyalists, yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you that it's either they are not going to help those who are in need, like they're not going to help victims of sexual harassment, or worse, they want to be like John Lasseter. And I think there was even at one point, like, I think it's been a while, but honestly, I think he legit commented that he thinks maybe the women have lied about John Lasseter with no proof whatsoever.
Oh, you know what? I think I do remember something about that. And here's another thing I'd like to bring up about him as well.
Yeah?
And this is a common thing with people, like, I'm not saying Asperger's syndrome is an excuse for you to have the actions that you do. I mean, I have nothing against people who have Asperger's and autism, because I worked with autistic children, and they are some of the most amazing kids I have ever worked with. There is nothing wrong with having that kind of disability.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to say here is basically, don't let your disability be your excuse to why you're an asshole, because I'm telling you, actions speak louder than words. And you can tell me all this crap all you want, but if you say to me, oh, my disability is my excuse me, I have one hand. That doesn't make me an asshole. I mean, I act like I get a little sassy, but that's different. I mean, I'm my own personality. I am my own person. I don't let my disability guide what I am doing with my life. My disability is there, and I live with it. So I hate those people that say my disability is my excuse for why I act like this, because it's not.
No, it really isn't.
Know better. You choose that. That's a difference.
Exactly. Like, even the people watching this, like, I know a lot of people in my fan base. I know, like, people in the chat wall or people listening or hearing this right now. Like, I know many of you are neurodivergent, and you know what? You're autistic. You have Asperger's syndrome.
Asperger's syndrome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. That's cool. I mean, like, you know what? Be yourself. That's perfectly okay. But what Diego is doing here, this is not a case of Asperger's. This is the kind of mental problem that Elon Musk has. Seriously, it's really that kind of issue. But
yeah,
I
just wanted to say that too, real quick.
Yeah, of course. But you might be wondering though, what is it that got to me that I had to go and block him? What is it the thing that honestly crossed the line? Well, this is actually something that happened a few days ago. It was on Thursday, and I had bad luck in which I wanted to go and watch Across the Spider-Verse, but unfortunately, that cinema had some serious technical problems where they had to go and try to fix the projector, or the file to go and play Spider-Verse was corrupted, so they had to re-download it with crappy internet. So I ended up waiting 50 minutes in the theater, waiting for it to come out, and I ultimately bailed out because I had something to do later. I had to be with family and get dinner. I ended up watching Spider-Verse on that same day later at night. What Diego decided to respond is with this one right here. Or, sorry, I'm just gonna go and hide that name. There we go. So this is his response. Honestly, in my opinion, you kind of deserve it. Considerably, even after disappointingly not giving more plus on the Mario movie for its amazing story execution, despite that you liked it in general. And that is what I learned from you when considering movies from analyzing carefully, especially when you once said about simple/scripts to great execution. Mario was supposedly one of them. Too bad that in recent times, your relevancy is not that high for most people, even for myself as I used to, despite that I still liked your Muppet look back. In other words, honestly, wish me luck in at least crafting an animation test of Figment with your voice. Hopefully that shall cheer you up in a personal way outside of the media pressure plus random stuff you are having, in my humane opinion. Yeah, like this right here. Sorry for my language, folks. Oops, wait a minute. Nope, not you. There we go. But honestly, that was a fuck you. Like, that really was the moment where I said, okay, that's it. Fuck you. Fuck off. I am blocking you for good. Not until I did a few responses just calling him out on that. Because honestly, that just goes way too far. And it's a clear example of the dude's insanity. Like the reason why he went out, like, this has nothing to do with Spider-Verse whatsoever, but saying that apparently I deserve it because I criticize not the Mario movie, but just the story of the Mario movie, that I didn't praise it as much as he did. And on top of that, adding insult to injury of trying to say that, oh, you're falling off, you're not as relevant as you used to. And then, right after saying that, he went completely 180, like without missing a beat, like just to say, oh, by the way, I'm doing an animation test with your voice of Figment. Oh, wish me luck on that. Like, are you kidding me? You want me to wish you luck on that after you said this entire bullcrap? Like, eat a bag of dicks, dude. Like, how insane do you think I am? Oh, no, wait, no, that's not it. Like, it's ridiculous, man.
Here's what when the moment you told me this, I was like, oh my god, you had my influence on that. I am not, I will say, I know I have a bit of a sailor mouth at times, but that was the first time where I actually heard you so pissed off where you actually said fuck off. And I'm like, oh my god, what have I done?
Yeah, honestly, no, he freaking...
I mean, I'm just kidding, but, it was really funny. But,
no, but he absolutely
he really
deserved
it.
Yeah, like, oh my god, like, why would you even, like, the reason why is just so irrelevant, and then, like, you would add, like, such an insulting comment of trying to say, like, well, you're not as relevant as you used to, and then suddenly trying to say, oh, wish me luck. But the funny thing is that looking back at this comment, you see how it is so toxic. And this is the definition of an abusive relationship. Like, this person is bullying and belittling me over something so insignificant. And then he tries to be positive about himself and even tries to say, oh, what's the solution for, what's the solution to go and cheer you up from all the media pressure that you're facing? It's me. I will come in and try to cheer you up with this animation test that I'm doing. That apparently I'm the problem and that he is the solution. This is the behavior of a full-on abuser. And this is the one where I realized, like, okay, I gotta stop talking to this guy. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it was hilarious before with his crazy antics, but now this is at the point where, like, this is starting to go into harmful and dangerous routes. And that's why I had to go and block this guy. And by the way, we're going to go on a quick break. This is just our one last break to go and restart the timer on Twitch. But then when we do come back, there's a little bit more that we do have to say. All right, so we are back, but I'm not fully done. Like, there is still a little bit more before the story would go and conclude. So yeah, like, he would post that comment, and I did, like, at that point, that's when I went and took action, and I blocked him on almost everything. Like, I blocked him on YouTube, I blocked him on Twitch, I blocked him on I blocked him on Patreon, I blocked him on Twitter and whatever, to make sure that he cannot access me to wherever he would go and post, except for Facebook, because I had a few choice of words that I want to say to him directly. I didn't save those comments of what I said specifically, unfortunately, but I wanted to know, like, I wanted to call him out and see how he would go and react. So I did save his response, and this was the last thing that he said to me. So his response after me calling him out, he says, "Why are you still egotistically imply that I am an egomaniac beyond your natural nature and political opinions? If I am honestly nothing compared to what you achieved, yet you refuse to support some people who have in common with your Disney passion in the past. And I think there is something that you should keep in mind, that when there is a no in every chance corner, a yes comes eventually. Though it seems that in our case, it's becoming very tough since we tried to communicate in the past. I may lack things compared to what you've done, plus struggling, but at least I proudly fight for anything possible. Now all you have to say is comparing to me pointlessly out of place, senseless politics, if you please, sarcastically speaking." And that's when I told him that he has the same ego as Elon Musk and Donald Trump in order to accomplish certain goals. And you should be grateful, Matt, that I am honestly about to animate Figment as part of my portfolios based on your voice acting samples. At least that is something that shall cheer you up eventually from your bad lucks, because you could consider that as my considerable support for you to gather your voice acting opportunities, and not as a typical fan or even fan in general, but at least like a big technical sibling, like it or not, as a figurative compliment of yours that is still loyally thankful to the main events you highlighted in the past. Even though right now for me and others about to watch every content of yours is not that very important like it used to, when most of your content has even changed. I'm sorry if I'm screwing things for you again, but I obviously don't have evil intentions. And from there, you see every toxic trait that he has. The stalker aspect of still trying to follow me, the deflection of all forms of criticism, of trying to ignore of every piece that I am trying to say about him. Like, honestly, like, I would love for the guy to improve, but clearly it's impossible. The fact that he is still trying to enable him, the fact that he's still trying to enable himself as the superior being, of saying that he's the one that will cheer me up, and that he's still trying to say that we're big technical siblings, despite the fact that I told him to freaking stop with that stupid lie. Like, every single aspect, like every single toxic trait has all been highlighted, and that right there tells me that honestly I gotta cut him out. I gotta cut him out of my life. That he has really become so toxic that, yes, like, I really do feel like this person will be responsible with ending my life if I ever meet him in real life. So yeah, honestly, it was just so ridiculous. And this was something that I have legitimately endured for years. So yes, Devon, I am going to publicly apologize to you, saying I am sorry. I wish I've listened to you. I wish I've listened to you before and just blocked the guy, because clearly this dude is just way too insane. Like, definitely a lost cause. He's never going to listen. He's always going to think of himself as superior. He's always going to deflect any form of criticism. He's going to live in his own freaking la la land, thinking that one day he'll legitimately become an animator, but with that kind of attitude, that will never occur whatsoever. So honestly, it's just something that I need to go and express my grievances and to share with everyone, like this cautionary tale to please don't be like Diego. Don't be like Scout Art. Don't be like that guy, because honestly, all you're going to do, because honestly, with this sense of superiority and with the way that you want to try to force yourself to make some kind of friendship or like some kind of business partnership, it just does not work that way. Okay, honestly, you need this is exactly why you need freaking humbleness. It's honestly ridiculous, and I gotta share this story with how crazy all this was, that this is an individual that has some serious problems. And no, it, like, honestly, having Asperger's doesn't count as a problem. It's much more beyond that. It's just the egomaniac attitude and just living a fantasy that for some reason you're this freaking child prodigy and this multi-talented artist when you're anything but.
And also, guys, if your best friend is trying to tell you you should block them, actually listen to them, because half the time they're right. So that is another, like, if your best friend is telling you the same thing over and over again, half the time they're right, and they have seen the other side. And I'd like to say this too. I forgive you, Matt. So I'm thrilled you finally learned your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a difference between... I was also a fan of Matt's a long time ago. I was a big fan of Matt's. Here's a huge difference between Diego and I. Diego has an ego who thinks he could have been friends with Matt. Me, I was just a fan who loved his work, and I just got lucky.
Actually, you know, the funniest thing is, believe it or not, people, do you know the first thing that we have done, like to connect, like the first time that we've met, or one of the first times that we have met, you know what was the first thing that we have actually done? Is actually argue about Maleficent and Finding Nemo. Like, we just went into that, like, we were just ranting and arguing with each other, and that's what sparked the friendship. That's where it grew from there.
Yeah, believe it or not, I remember that when we first met, I was so freaked out. We were both friends with James and Morgan at the time, and I was like half tempted to bail, and Morgan's like, no, stay. And I stayed, and we started talking about, I think Morgan left for a little bit because he had like a family conflict. James and you and I were talking about Maleficent. You and I started arguing for 10 to 15 minutes. James was just watching like, oh my God. We could not stop arguing. We were arguing back and forth forever. You left, and here I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I just do?
No,
This
I didn't.
guy's not gonna be friends with me.
No, I left because I think it was late. Because I remember,
It was
because
real
at the
late,
time,
I do remember.
at the time they always like stay up until like 3 or 4 in the morning, so I had to bail out early. But then we connected, and the rest is history, I guess. And trust me, Devon actually played a significant role in helping me improve, like, as a person, honestly. Like, a lot of it is like, a lot of, like, how I've improved my behavior over the years is, like, thanks to her.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys right now, people think arguing with your friends is healthy. Matt and I don't always agree. That's our secret to our friendship. We don't always agree with each other. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. I don't care that much about Matt has his dislikes and likes, and I have my likes and dislikes. Do we get on each other's nerves? Yes, we do. Have I accidentally hurt him? Yes. Has he hurt me? Yes. It's normal. Guys, friendships happen. Things happen. Friends argue. It's gonna be a thing. When you realize that instead of feeling like you're the fan and he's the creator, instead I realized he's my friend. He listens to me. He respects my opinion. He asks me for my opinion. And instead of just brushing me off like I'm nothing, I was treated like, hey, like, wait a minute, her opinion actually makes sense to me. And I appreciated that. A lot of people kept asking me over the years, like, how did you become friends with Matt? I'm like, I just was arguing. I mean, what? I was just being my sassy, crazy old self. I don't know. That was basically it. I wasn't doing anything other than trusting myself, but I also respected his boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me, not the other way around. Guys.
Exactly. So I think the big lesson to learn from all this is to just learn to if you want to form friendships, if you want to form bonds and stuff, or just as a person, if you want to be considered a good person, you got to learn to be humble. You got to learn to be kind, and you should never force things. Okay. Friendships and connections and stuff like that. You should never try to go and force it, regardless of how you may feel. If the other person doesn't feel that way, if there's no connection for the other person, then it's not meant to be. You shouldn't force people to do things what you specifically want. And that way, you'll be able to form bridges. You'll be able to form friendships. You may even be able to form love. If you try to do what Diego does, like be so narcissistic, so egotistical, try to force things to make to have it go your way and stuff. Like if you disrespect other people's wishes, if you only care about what you want things to happen, honestly, all the opportunities that you're going to have, they're gone. Like they're just going to be dead in the water and you'll have no one in your life. You're just like, you're going to end up being alone. So that's honestly the big thing that the biggest takeaway from this entire story. So there is some substance to talking about an insane fan.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about me.
Exactly.
Though I am an insane.
Well, yes, you are insane, Devon, but it's a different kind of insane.
I couldn't resist that quip right there. That was easy.
Yeah. So with that said, I would like to go and ask you all, for anyone who is still on the chat wall, what do you think of this entire story? Do you have any comments that you would like to say? Any opinions? So feel free to go and say that. Let's see. After I saw his comment, after I made my comment talking about a bad experience in the theater in the post on Facebook you made, and wow, all I could say is, what? I sometimes looked at the comments at times, but Diego seems to be pulling the I'm your biggest fan trope like Syndrome or Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, but can't handle criticism comes to life, and I'm so sorry you two have to deal with that crap. This guy is so unhinged and a complete a-hole, and I hope to God he doesn't come back. I mean, I've blocked him on all accounts, and I made it clear that I never want to talk to him again, so pretty sure. Like, honestly, Diego really feels like he's right in between Syndrome for The Incredibles and the crazy lady from Perfect Blue, the one that turns out to be, the one who is like the main character's manager, but is actually a psychopath. Like, he's in between. He is in between that.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is honestly just insane. I do remember there were times when Diego would show up in the podcast, and I didn't really think about it back then. But seeing just how this guy is completely toxic, and this really is the definition of an abusive relationship, and he's the kind of guy that needs to go on a mental asylum, because this guy has a serious mental problem. So overall, excuse my language, but F this guy. Also, maybe I should have said this before, but please do not go and actively try to find Diego and go harass him and stuff like that. I condemn any form of harassment online whatsoever. There's no point in talking to the guy. So I just want to go and make that clarification before things get too ugly. Okay. So just want to make that statement.
I agree. Just block him. Don't even acknowledge
Exactly.
him, just block him.
Listen to Devon. Block the guy if you ever see him. And apparently that's also another thing to go and mention. Apparently, I'm not the only one here. Apparently, he does have that kind of reputation in other parts of the internet where he has been blocked on several different groups across social media and has been called out for his insanity by other people, in which his response is always, "Don't underestimate me." Yeah, so let's see here. This guy sounds like a real piece of work. Like, I'm a major fan of yours since 2011. I get excited whenever I get acknowledged by you, but I'm not going to pretend we're friends. I would like to work with you sometimes because I really like your voice acting demo, but I also know that's a long ways and you have rights. I am a fan. I'm not going to pretend that it could be anything more. I question how old Diego is because this sounds like a child, like he doesn't understand the industry. I think honestly, he was like I think he's like in his 20s or something, honestly.
I don't remember. I didn't ask.
Yeah. Anyways, wow. I've seen Scout Art pop up in the chat wall from time to time, and I'm starting to notice a lot of his more douchey tendencies looking back on it, but do you guys remember the opening of The Incredibles where Syndrome keeps trying to get in good with Bob, and he just says, "Dude," like, "Dude, what? No, what? No, don't do that." This is what it feels like, down to the point where I think he may actually be a supervillain. Overall, I need to break this from this guy. I'm going to Taco Bell. Anyone want anything? Cheese fries? Anyways, this guy is certified insane. Even Syndrome from The Incredibles would look at that guy and say, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. Scout Art is here. Scout Art here should be used as an example to remind us viewers on one big thing about content creators. They are not your friends. It is important to understand that we only have a parasocial relationship with our favorite content creators, and that there are bigger limits to what we are allowed to say and do. And if you can't respect that, then you should just buzz off. Exactly, man. So yeah, I saw this post while waiting to see Spider-Verse. Once I saw it, I was like, this cannot be real. I only replied to this individual with a John C. Reilly gif saying okay as a mockery of him. I was shocked about this guy's statement. I also did apologize to you, Matt, about this. This is not about us Mexican filmmakers. We are doing our best to be good people and not like Diego. Seriously, F that guy. Hope you did like Spider-Verse though. Oh, you'll see when my review comes out this week. Let's see. I think I'll go with one more comment and then we're going to cap this off here. This is on, no, I didn't read this comment. Anyways, this is honestly just insane. I do remember there were times when Diego would show up in the podcast and I didn't really think about it back then. But seeing just how this guy is completely toxic, and this really is the definition of an abusive relationship, and he's the kind of guy that oh no, I think I've read that. I need to go to a mental asylum.
I did read that one already.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, this one I have not though. And that's the lesson of not getting your hopes too high, folks. After hearing the stealing and the prophecies he did, he's a real disgusting toxic fan. I'm really sorry that you guys have to deal with him. Diego really needs a doctor to check on him. He's basically Chris Chan, but obsessed over AniMat instead of Sonic and Pikachu. Seriously, his behavior is very nonsensical and dangerous. Kids, be humble and respect others. And with that said, that should do it for one heck of an episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Devon, may I say, thank you so much for joining on this. I think it's safe to say that we have produced an unforgettable episode here.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I definitely agree there.
Yes. And tune in for more crazy adventures that will come on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And also, I would like to go and say that if you guys want to watch more of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast or listen to me, then don't forget to go and subscribe to me on my Twitch channel, AniMat Live, and on the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. And also, if you're listening to me on any podcast service, then don't forget to go and follow me on Google, Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, and more. And so with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.
Bye, guys.